Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the live stream. We have a great conversation to have today. We are joined by Shelby Henshaw from the City of Kentwood Parks and Rec Department. And we've got a special guest. We've got Nicole Van Kuilen, a co-founder from Forrest Stump, who's going to be talking with us today. And the reason we gathered today is we are talking about the upcoming Limb Loss Awareness 5K. And this is a partnership between the City of Kentwood and Mary Freebed Orthotics and Prosthetics team for this Limb Loss and Limb Difference Month. It is a chance to raise awareness about people living with limb loss or limb differences. And there is a Limb Loss Awareness 5K that's happening on Saturday, April 27th here in Kentwood. And we're just so excited to talk about it. And so, Shelby, you work with the City of Kentwood and work with their awesome adaptive sports program. Tell us, for someone who's never heard of this Limb Loss Awareness 5K, what is this event?
Yeah, so the Limb Loss Awareness 5K is just a family-friendly event designed to support Kentwood's adaptive recreation programs. And then all profits for the race are channeled to support those programs. And the race itself has quickly become very popular. This is our 6th year hosting the race. And it's just a good way to build community, create some advocacy around limb loss awareness and difference. And it really just helps to fund our adaptive recreation programs as well.
And you guys always have a really good turnout. This is in April, so sometimes the weather, you never know what it's like, but we had awesome weather last time at it. And every year we highlight different people in the community that can be like a race ambassador. Sometimes they're sharing their story of an injury or an illness, but we're really lucky to have Nicole join us for this race, but also just to share some of her story. Nicole, tell us actually like where you are right now in the world and where you're calling from to us with.
Absolutely, Chris. Well, I live out in the Pacific Northwest. I'm in Vancouver, Washington, but I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in both Minnesota and Michigan, and so really excited to be back in one of my home states. I went to the University of Michigan. Go Blue, for any fans out there. But yeah, really excited to be coming back for this event with you all.
And your story, so co-founder for Forrest Stump, and we'll get into that organization, but you yourself have a limb loss, limb difference. Can you tell us a little bit about how your journey and how you ended up losing your leg?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma when I was 10 years old. I was fortunate enough to be living in Rochester, Minnesota, so right down the street from the Mayo Clinic. And was able to have some of the best oncologists and just surgeons in the world who really advocated for me and encouraged that I get an amputation to save my life. And so my parents and I made that, difficult decision at that age to amputate my leg so that I could continue to live a great life. And I've been in remission ever since. So we've been in remission now for 20 plus years.
And so you said it was like 10 years that you were kind of like at this point leading up to the decision to amputate, right?
Well, it was really interesting. We originally found my cancer when I was 8 years old. I was on my way to a softball game and was running late and ended up tripping and falling down this hill while, I had my glove and my bat and I'm running down this hill and ended up tripping and falling and spraining my ankle. And I was living up in the Twin Cities at that time. We thought, maybe I had broken something. So we went in to get an x-ray and that's when they found this egg-sized tumor in my tibia bone. So really a complete miracle. And my parents and I joke that I was, pushed down the hill by my guardian angel. And that's, how we ended up finding that tumor. But really at that time, the biopsy went out and we got kind of interesting feedback in terms of some of the oncologists from all over the world and thought that some thought it was malignant, some thought it was benign. So really they just stitched me back up and we kind of waited a couple years. And thankfully the next miracle in a sense happened in that my family and I moved down to Rochester, Minnesota and had my care reestablished at the Mayo Clinic there. And that's when they did another biopsy and found that this tumor was in fact malignant. And so immediately, started chemotherapy. And then just a couple months later in January, so it was January 21st, 2002, on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, had my amputation. And so it was really just a matter of a few months that my family and I had to make that decision but was a difficult one for sure. But thankfully to my care team and everyone that I had in that journey, it was the right decision that we made.
And then what was that first bit of your life like, getting used to this new normal for you, the adjustment, and then starting to use a prosthetic? I mean, that can be a really trying time for somebody adjusting to their new life. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I love this question, and I really had to kind of do some thinking about it because it's been 20 plus years now, and in many ways, I feel fully rehabilitated. And I'm running the Boston Marathon in just a week, which I'm really excited about. So I've come full circle in what I've been able to do. But thinking back on it, having my amputation and having to learn to walk again, to run again with the prosthesis was really hard. I mean, it was a hard experience, but I think one thing that, if anyone's watching this that's going through that same experience right now, I just want to share with them that, hard is not a bad thing. Hard doesn't mean that it's wrong. And that as humans, we are incredibly adaptable and we can do hard things. And that's what we're meant to do in the same way that running a marathon is a hard thing to do, but yet we can do it. And day after day, step by step, you can, get back to where you once were. But it takes some time. And I think back to, one of the things my parents first did was sign me up for soccer. I think at the time, being 10, having this new prosthetic leg, which kind of felt clunky and I didn't know how to really use it yet. I look back on that, I'm like, really, of all the sports my parents could have put me in, they put me in soccer, right? Like to be in having to use my feet. But I think that was such an important thing that my parents did because as a new amputee, you have to learn this new proprioception of having a prosthesis and having this be a new part of your body. And I think that's a key part of this journey is just the acceptance of the prosthesis and having it become part of yourself. And, at first it might feel like a foreign extension of who you are. But over time, for me, my prosthesis has become an absolutely integrated part of my body. And I think, over time as well, I even just forget that I'm even wearing a prosthesis. So, that's the encouragement that I want to give others is just to push yourself, to put yourself out there and to know that, yes, going into this, it's going to be hard to get a prosthesis and learn to walk again. But we can do hard things and to push yourself to do that.
Oh, wow, Nicole, thank you so much for sharing that, and especially the encouragement to others. And I mean, Shelby, you probably see it too at the limb loss 5K, just people in all different stages of their journey. Some people, this is their first 5K. Some people, they've been running with their prosthetic for a long time. What's it like seeing some of the participants at the race and different places they are in their journey?
Yeah, absolutely. We see all types of athletes at this 5K, and it's really cool to see the encouragement and the community that they are able to build. This is one of the only 5Ks I've ever seen people cheering on people at the finish line the entire time. So it's really cool even to see the fastest runners who are done in 20 minutes to stick it out for another hour and 10 minutes waiting for that last person to cross that finish line. And so just the community building that happens is just great to see.
And Nicole, back to your story. So you talk about doing hard things, and you yourself did a really hard thing, 1,500-mile ultra-triathlon that started this Forrest Stump. Like, what sparked you to do that, and where were you frustrated that you said, I need to make a big statement and try to really dive into this advocacy?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was around the time I was 25, 26, so about 7 years ago. And at that point in my life, I was training for my first half marathon with one of my best friends. I was working at the University of Michigan. And during the process of training for that half marathon, and what a lot of people don't know is that prosthetic legs for running are not covered by insurance. So at the age of 10 and all the way up until that point, I had only ever had one prosthesis to basically do everything. And because insurance doesn't cover a running prosthesis, it can be very expensive out of pocket for individuals and for families. And, my parents didn't know about any charitable options. And so at that point, I was actually breaking my prosthetic foot every 6 months, just trying to do this half marathon with one of my friends. And I actually developed a sacral torsion pelvic asymmetry, which basically just means I was in incredible back pain every morning, just waking up, trying to put my socks on, bending over. I was just in tears. I was in so much pain. And I just started to really question, why is it like this for me? Like, I see other amputees out there that have access to running blades. I've been talking to my prosthetist, and, this technology and this solution exists, but yet I can't get access to it. And so at that point in my life, I really started to question the system and asked myself, what is it really that makes me disabled? Is it the fact that I'm missing my foot, or is it these outdated policies that restrict access to having an active life? And so at that point, I was just very fired up about this issue and wanting to do something about it, and just really thinking that we were at a point in this world that we really needed to challenge the status quo and to fight for people with disabilities. And I kind of looked at myself and I was like, well, who's going to care about this more than me? I've been waiting and waiting all these years to try and have some access to something like this. So my same friend who was training for the half marathon with, we started to brainstorm, what could we do to raise awareness? My background is in marketing and business. And so she was like, well, we could run across the country. And I was like, oh yeah, it would be like one of my favorite, movies, Forrest Gump. And then immediately we thought of Forrest Stump, and that clicked. But then we decided, well, let's do a triathlon to show, all the different sports and different prosthetics that someone could potentially need in all of these different activities. And so we did this 1,500-mile ultra-triathlon from Seattle to San Diego, which we called Forrest Stump. And it was really just an incredible journey. At that point in my life, I hadn't met a lot of people with disabilities. And so down the coast, we were, meeting individuals and raising awareness. And at the end of that journey, and 16 years after my amputation, I was able to get my first ever running blade, thanks to the Challenged Athletes Foundation. But at that point, as grateful as I was to finally have access to that, I knew that no one should have to ever go to that length or really become a public figure to get access to what they need. And that has propelled me in my journey of founding Forrest Stump as an advocacy nonprofit, and the work that I now do today with the American Orthotic and Prosthetic Association as an advocate as well.
And we're just looking at some different pictures of you just in different organizations you're working with. And you also are now training, I think you're leaving, is it today? Or because this weekend it's the Boston Marathon you're running in, right?
Yeah, I'm leaving this Friday for the Boston Marathon, and really excited that as part of my work, some of those pictures you saw, I'm wearing a shirt that says "So Every Body Can Move," and that is the initiative that I am helping to lead at the national level with the American Orthotic and Prosthetic Association, and has been the culmination and really the seed, the original seed that Forrest Stump planted has now become "So Everybody Can Move," which is a national state-by-state policy initiative, which is actively creating change and requiring that insurance companies cover prosthetic and orthotic care for physical activity. So we have 5 states that have now enacted this legislation, a 6th one that just unanimously passed the House and Senate and will soon be signed by the governor, which is in Maryland. And then we've got 9 other states that have introduced bills so far this year, which is just incredible to see the momentum that's happening across the country.
So you can really see that this advocacy is just so important to you, and the way that you're paying it forward to other people is just awesome. So I really commend you for that, and just appreciate you taking your time and fitting into your busy schedule to come visit us and to race with the team. So Shelby, I want to bring you back in. So tell us more about the Limb Loss 5K. This is coming up Saturday, April 27th. Tell us more about like the timing and just what this event is.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, this is our 6th year doing the race, and it was started back in 2018 as a way just to celebrate Limb Loss Awareness and Limb Difference Month, which happens every April, and it also helps to raise funds for our adaptive recreation programs, and it's really a trifold type thing. We support a great cause, we build community while we're doing it, and then we just bring people together. So the race starts at 10 a.m. here at Veterans Memorial Park on Saturday, April 27th. And the route takes us through Veterans Memorial Park, down some trails. It takes us on a beautiful trail, which also happens to be National Trail Day. So funny that the two coincide together. But when it started, we had 175 runners, and this year our goal is 350 runners. So we've nearly doubled the amount of runners that we've had at this. And it's just a great way to, build community, raise awareness, and have fun.
Yeah, and it looks like too, we're seeing some video too, like there's kind of like almost like an expo, all the different like sponsors and partners are there and kind of building that community. You can see able-bodied people interacting and, racing with people with lower limb differences. So it's just a really fun community event. And how does the proceeds from this event benefit, the City of Kentwood and their adaptive and recreation programs?
Yeah, so since its inception, we've raised over $60,000 for our adaptive recreation programs. And that just really goes to purchase a variety of things. So we've purchased a ski boat and jet skis for our water ski program. We've purchased kayaks for our kayaking program. And just 2 years ago, we purchased an enclosed trailer and a full fleet of accessible bikes for our adaptive cycling program. So we're always looking for new programs to add, but then there's also general maintenance for our old adaptive programming as well. So it's just a really great thing.
And so you've listed some of the programs that you have. Can you walk us through all the different resources? And I know that Mary Free Bed in our wheelchair and adaptive sports program, we partner with you on a lot of these, but just what are some of the different things? You mentioned the skiing, but list them all out for us.
Yeah, so our adaptive recreation program is one of the most robust in the state of Michigan, and we offer a lot of different activities. So I mentioned the water ski and the kayaking and the cycling, but we also do other things like rock climbing, archery, golf, bowling, track and field clinics, and then some social things as well. So our leisure club meets once a week, and they just go out and do other fun outings. So really people of all ability levels coming out together to recreate and have fun.
Feel awesome. And how can people get registered? Where can they find more information?
Yeah, so registration is available on our website, kentwood.us/limloss5K. And registration will be open from now until race day, and it is $35 per participant. And then we'll also be doing on-site registration race day as well, and that will be $40.
Excellent. And then we just want to thank you guys so much for talking with us. Nicole, as we wrap this up, I want you to kind of give us that last little word. You are making the trip from out of town to come participate. Why should people around the West Michigan or even Michigan in general come out and get involved in this event?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm personally excited that this will be my victory lap in a sense after Boston, and just so excited to be back home in the state of Michigan. But as Shelby mentioned, and this is Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month for April. The importance of the community coming together on this cannot be understated. I think it's just so important to have so many people that show that people with disabilities need to be represented, and we need to have that support as an entire community. So just definitely want to encourage everyone to come out, be part of this, help us celebrate Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month, and help us get active. And just want to enjoy this beautiful outdoors in Michigan, and continue the legacy that this event has started in the past 6 years. And I was thinking for myself, how amazing it would have been able for me growing up to have access to these adaptive resources growing up. So we got to continue that legacy and keep it going for years to come.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Shelby and Nicole, thank you so much for jumping in the conversation and talking with us today. Once again, we are talking about the City of Kentwood and Mary Free Bed Orthotics and Prosthetics Bionics are teaming up to recognize Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month with the Mary Free Bed Prosthetics Limb Loss Awareness 5K on Saturday, April 27th. All the proceeds from this will be going to support the City of Kentwood and their adaptive recreation programs. So thank you guys all for watching, and stay well.